Very good. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here this afternoon. We have a very special guest in the house,
Yeah,
and we'll get there. We'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, just welcome to our May edition of Inspiring Math Minds. This is a virtual learning series hosted by the California Council Central Section. So Duane and I are here representing the Central Section today. And with that, we would also like to thank all of our partners that help us recruit speakers and promote this session or these sessions in their areas, including a nonprofit partner, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that are helping kind of fund some of these activities as well to help as we look to expand, get some new equipment and, step up our game a little bit, Duane, in future sessions.
was that a challenge you just told me? Just
You
challenged me
called his
to,
name out.
yeah, he called me out to improve my game. Oh man.
Very good. Well, and with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Christina Lincoln-Moore, who is the real reason you all showed up today.
Indeed.
And super excited, Christina, to learn from you.
Well, it is quite a pleasure to be here. Anytime that I can hang out with Duane and Cole, that's a good day. So, I just have a couple of things to share, and I really just want it to be a conversation. And so I know that our audience is going to be interacting in the chat, so I would just love it. So, I'm Christina Lincoln-Moore. This is my 29th year as an educator, and I feel very blessed to be in the space that I'm in, that I can focus completely on mathematics, and I'm very grateful. So during this time, this is just a little bit about me. I um, became really active in CMC about 2012, and it went from going to conferences and learning to getting involved to getting into leadership. And now I'm running for president of CMC state. So vote for me in September if you're in California. But that transformed my classroom teaching and made me, who I am with CMC. So I'm very grateful. I got to, be that fangirl to Kathy Fosno and meet all these amazing people over the years who spoke into my life and just transformed how I taught math. So very grateful to be part of it. And I, um, my partner, Dr. Tashana House, she's in Atlanta. We started Black Women in Mathematics Education, and that is a wonderful space where we as Black women educators hold space for each other. Our meeting was just on Tuesday, where Dr. Nicole Joseph, who wrote the book Making Black Girls Count. We're reading her book in our book study right now. And that meeting, it is the most fulfilling, uplifting sisterhood all around mathematics. And I'm just so grateful. And we use that space to lay down our armor. Everyone needs a space like that, a math space, especially now in these times. Lay down our armor, pour into each other. We will sit on each other's dissertation committee. We will speak each other's names, be a sponsor to someone, which means because we have a mentor, but you need a sponsor, someone who speak your name when you're not in the room. I think of Duane and Cole. They function as a sponsor as well. I'm grateful for our math community. But I encourage you to find your people where you can just be your authentic self and have your soul renewed. And my current position is at LACO, LA County Office of Education, and I lead the math unit here. And I waited till I was 51. I'm now 52. I just completed my first year of my PhD program on Friday. I made it. And I have to say that my professors were wonderful and they really encouraged me, and they always said wonderful things about my work, and they encouraged me, and I just put in my first research proposal to AMTE, because they said my paper just this needs to be published. So I'm like, oh my God. So this is a new area. I've always presented at math conferences, but with the academy and at a research conference. So I'm looking forward to learning and going from there. And I am a wife. I'm actually leaving for Jamaica on Saturday, woo, to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. I have two wonderful children. Um, they're in college going into the fall. I'll have a senior in college and a sophomore in college. And just very grateful to be here. So, just a little bit of the many hats that I wear. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about that because it's from all of that what I'm going to share with you about. And that's really being an advocate for mathematics. In our environment right now, you have to be pretty tough. Right now, one of the things I have to do is we got a request for public records about our framework because there's entities that do not want mathematics to be equitable. So how, in that kind of environment, how do we advocate? So in the chat, what are some ways that you advocate for mathematics, even when it's really, really hard? And Duane, start us off. Tell us how you advocate, even when it's hard.
Gladly, I just typed in my first opening salvo sentence in the chat. So I'll start by reading that. I think in terms of being an advocate for mathematics, my goal is to get the world to see and to treat mathematics as an equal to ELA. I mean, we often see ELA getting all the coaches, and we see a tremendous amount of attention and intervention being focused on ELA, and as if, and then less so with math. And so I would love to get math to be on that same pedestal as ELA.
Yes, yes. And what's an example of what you do, Duane?
Well, recognize that a teacher, particularly let's say K-5 teacher, may have almost this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of approach to ELA in math, where they understand that in the ELA world, simply pronouncing the words or reading the words on the page is not sufficient to be called literate, that we also have to have understanding and comprehension and flexibility and read for meaning, and then help them take that belief that they do have and then help them apply that same complex, nuanced approach to literacy to mathematics. That math is not merely getting the answer, but we want to have deep understanding and comprehensive understanding and flexibility, just like we want with reading.
Mm-hmm.
So I start by elevating their current beliefs with ELA, which are often more healthy than the math, and then try and translate that into the math world as well.
Mm-hmm. And Cole, you as being a very prolific leader in your county, I have witnessed walking through the steam yard and various things that Kern has done. Tell us how you advocate when it's hard.
I always start by studying my audience well before I ever get to the
Mm,
space.
mhm,
Over the last a couple years, been put in some space with some people in which we very much disagree on just the most basic of things.
mm,
And it makes it hard for us to talk about anything more at in depth.
mm.
And the framework might be one of them. Um, but when I know I'm about to walk into a conversation like that, I always go and try to like, what does that individual like? What is something they really care about, and how can I tie something that I'm trying to get across to something that they are really invested in, to
Mm.
maybe see some light at the end of the tunnel, and we may walk away and still not agree, but we can at least see each other's perspective, and that's a start.
I love that. You're kind of leading into one of my points. So what do I see? Oh, okay, I see your comment. And then Lisa said, oh, yep, read the room, find points of commonality, active listening, share truths. And, sharing truths and personal stories of impact, they make a difference because I really believe you have to pull some heartstrings to change minds. And I see Luis agrees. So when I had this March, I had the pleasure of presenting at CMC Central's Leadership Symposium. I was a bit conflicted because I wanted to talk about this subject, but I didn't want to give away all my secrets. And now it's going to be recorded.
That's how it works, Christina.
So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my secret sauce. Let me see. Oh, sharing secrets as a part of leadership. I love it. I love it. So I have these two quotes, and um, Duane, how about you read the first and then Cole read the second? And I just want to hear the reaction. How does it resonate with you? These are quotes I have on my email address, my personal email address, and I have a very strong feeling about them. So I would like to hear your reaction to that. So,
Sure. I'll start by reading the Angela Davis quotation. It's, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. Do you want me to share
yeah,
my,
Cole,
okay.
yes. Well, you can share your a reaction.
What do you
Yeah,
want Cole to read? I'm flexible, man.
you can share your reaction, then we'll move to Cole.
Sure. My brief reaction while everybody else starts to think about it, and maybe they'll put it in the chat. What I connect to this with John Hattie's work about self-efficacy,
Mm,
that teachers need to believe that they have it within themselves to be able to do stuff about what they are experiencing, about what they have the power, they have the influence with their kids. While they can't change the demographics of their kids, or the homelessness of some of their kids, or the food insecurity with their kids, or they can't change the educational experience of their children's parents.
mm,
What the teachers can do is they have this unwavering belief that they can do something to fundamentally help this child with mathematics. And this is kind of what Angela Davis is saying. It's like you have to believe that you can radically transform the world, and then once you believe it, well, now you're compelled to do it all the time. You know,
And I like to add this tag on, even when it costs you, because if I really believe in it, I'm going to do it even if it costs me.
indeed.
There's a wonderful researcher, Grace Chin, and she termed the phrase, like we always say, responsible, but she says response able. We all have the ability to respond to injustice. However that looks, how big or small, but we all, as educators, if we see things, we are all response able. Cool.
All right. The second quote, the system's not broken. The system was built this way. It was built to oppress. It lives off of our ignorance, and we can no longer be ignorant. And now that you know, what will you do?
We can't unsee it. So what do we do?
Yeah.
How does that resonate with you, Cole?
So it kind of immediately kind of took me to like my work with systems improvement, and that every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets,
Mhm.
right? And that if we actually don't step back and take ourselves to this, like fixing it at the classroom level or even the site level, like that's not enough. We've got to like step back and really analyze the system, the whole machine, if we're really going to make an impact or a difference. And that goes, not just the way the teaching happens, but the grading policies and the culture,
Yes.
all of those elements on a campus.
Yes. If we're saying, oh, growth mindset, but then you don't allow someone to turn in something late or retest. But have a great, I'm sorry. What is it again? I've lost my train of thought. Um, Mindset. What's the word that comes before mindset? I just said it.
Growth mindset?
Growth mindset. Yes, thank you.
Ding, ding, ding. I scored the point.
I'm tired. Yes. So our actions have to align with what we say. So let's check the chat. Yes, even if it costs you. It's important to be flexible. Oh, yes, definitely. And the thing about being flexible, you also are open. Because if you're flexible, if you're rigid, you're closed off. But if you're flexible, you're open and you can see more. And that's one of the ways we make a difference is to really see, not see what we want to see, but see what's really there.
Right. So, Christina, you're challenging me. The second quote, the bottom quote, it says, "And now that you know, what will you do?" And then we go up to the top quote. It says, "Well, what we're supposed to do is believe that we're able to radically transform this broken system." Well, no, the system that's not broken. It's just messed up and providing yucky product. So we're supposed to radically transform this system. How like how do we how do how do we do that when we are, and I'm going to use the royal we, like we see data and we see the results that we've been getting, and every year we get the data and it's always the same kind of data, and it seems like we've reached this point of, I guess this is just this is our lot in life and this is the results we're going to get. But we can't be satisfied with a system that continues to provide the results that we get, this system that is designed to oppress. How do we motivate ourselves, maybe first, and then motivate the world to radically transform this system?
Now, I don't claim to have all the answers. I just know what has worked for me when
Mhm.
I was a teacher, when I was a coach, in all my roles, what was helpful to move the needle. And the the one thing, you talk about data, you have to look at data differently. That's one of the ways. Because if we see that African Americans as a whole in the state of California only 16% of them are proficient. I'm not saying that I don't see it as, only these amount of students know how to do math. I see it as only 16% of what we're doing is working. So we have to change that. So let's be reflective of our practice. And we just submitted a paper, Black Women in Math, to MTLT, which is the journal for NCTM. And hopefully it gets published. But it was on a culturally relevant task about stop and frisk. Stop and Frisk, if you are unfamiliar, was this program. Well, it's all over the United States, but it was very pronounced in New York, where you could, without a warrant or anything, you could just stop and frisk and search without, any regard. And the data was showing, I wonder who was getting stopped the most. So this task was done by my partner in Atlanta, had a small group of students in an after school. Students heard about this math task and joined the class. Now, when is it that kids off the street, well, not off the street, but at school, are going to come in to do math? Why did they do that? Why do they come in on their own free time to come in and do math? Why? Why did they come? Because what about that task made them come in from playing basketball or something? What was it?
I'm going to steal language straight out of chapter 2. It was culturally and personally relevant.
Hmm?
And then that's from the 3 dimensions. And then from the 5 components of equitable and engaging math teaching for all, it's a task that is teaching towards social justice.
Hmm?
And these things are inherently, those things inherently make it so that the students want to engage.
It was like, oh, there was just a reason to use the math to solve this problem. And then you'll have to read what happened after it's published. But what came of that was extremely powerful. So and I'll have to tell you, when I was in the classroom, my classroom was up on the yard, and I would always do math after recess. And my kids would be like, oh, what we gonna do, Miss Lincoln-Moore? So if your kids are excited and then checking in at recess about what math you're going to do, you know you're doing something right, because it's speaking to their soul. Each child is feeling seen and they're excited. So how do we change that? So that's how we change, looking at the data differently, being reflective of our practice, and little things at a time. And then being, just like these quotes are, response able. So my secret sauce. Now, as a leader, now I spoke to CMC Central as a leader, but I've always practiced these 3 things. So first, I want to tell you about my unimbese. Let's say that. Unimbese.
Nimbesa.
I always like, it's because this comes from your soul. So I am led by this that is in my soul and in my heart. This is why I used to, when I was a teacher, carry a record rack in my purse, and I would be in the grocery store and I'd see somebody and we start doing math in the grocery store, because it's just in my soul and it oozes out into everything. And it is the lens of which I see the world. I see the world as each person as their humanity, not necessarily what they look like or their skin, but their humanness. And if I look at you in your humanness, I'm going to love you because I'm human and I want us to be in community with each other. So if I have that point of view, And I have that compassion because I 100% believe in the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. So I want compassion. I want grace. So I give grace. All of these things. And you really need that as a teacher, that compassion. Then this is what drives me. It comes from not something I read, but from my heart. So the first thing is analyzing power dynamics, but being quiet. Observing, seeing the culture. And every new space that I enter, I observe. Just like what Cole said and what was said in the chat about reading the room, you really, really have to gather a lot of data. The qualitative data, very important, as well as the quantitative data. You are analyzing, you're seeing what systems are in place. You're seeing who are the alphas in the organization, who are the quiet ones, who are also powerful, but they speak only in behind closed doors, or who are the ones that you will not uh, kind of associate with because they're the backstabbers who you're looking at all of this. And I'm a person of faith. There's a scripture that says, be as gentle as a dove, but as wise and savvy or slick as a serpent. And that's what this is. You have to gather before you can change anything, because it's people who change things, not data and papers. We used to always have to put these data walls. What was green and blue and all that doesn't change the data. It's people who change the data. So gathering all this information, because once you have that, you've got the keys to the kingdom, because you know how to talk to this one, you know when to talk to this one, this person, oh, you can't talk to her in the morning, but after school, you observe all of these dynamics. And then we play spades. It's very important in the African American culture that you play spades. And we say, you don't play the game, you play the player. I'm into the player to intimidate the player. So it's the same thing. You know who all the players are and you act accordingly. And then this is the first part of being able to change your space. You can't just come in and just, oh, I'm gonna, you know, you have to be humble. Even when you're a leader, one of your greatest attributes is being humble and being a servant. A servant leader. Servant leaders are the ones who really get the work done, not you know, what is that saying? The bulls in the china shop. They just make a lot of mess. But the people who truly make change are the servant leaders, because they'll be the ones that'll get down on their knees and clean up, throw up off of a teacher's floor. And then when she sees you do that, then she'll be like, oh, okay, I'll talk to her. So gathering that data. So tell me what you think of this before we move. There's 3 of these. So tell me what you think of this.
Yeah, as Cole is reading them, I will tell you what I put in the chat, which is what you just described. This idea of being silent completely messes with the feelings I had on the previous slide that said We have to believe in radical transformation, then we do it. And we have to understand that we're in a system that's not broken, it's designed to oppress. And now you're telling me, and the first thing I need to do is sit and be silent.
Yes.
Well, you just broke my brain.
Yes, because it's a process. It's the long game you're going for, right? So I am going to, um, if I really want to make the change, I have to do it. Um, that's the real way to be data informed. If you've been watching all of this, gathering this data, that's the truly being data informed, because you have now analyzed the space and you know how to operate, and then you start your action. So I'm glad you made that point.
I think it kind of ties into the second quote earlier that kind of drew me to systems thinking is the first phase of, improvement is exploration,
Mhm.
right? And in this, you're doing your own kind of form of exploration as you are identifying players and you're identifying, trends and system and things that are happening because you don't want to waste all of your energy trying to change the wrong thing, right? You want to get to the root cause of some of the structural pieces and things that are happening within an organization or a system, and you can't do that if it's always just attack mode at everything.
Yes. This is very much a systems thinking approach.
Yeah.
Um, what is his name? Peter I can't say his last name.
Nick.
Sig, I can't say his name, but he's like the systems thinking guru. It's very much in that way. Okay, you ready for the next one? What was there? Let me see. Was there anyone else that said anything in the chat? Oh, silence allows us to learn to be informed about the current culture. Yes, yes. Being reflective is important. Yes, thank you, Lisa. That's his last name. He is the systems thinking guru. And, when you are a teacher, um, any kind of, because teachers are leaders, they are teacher leaders. You have to approach everything systematically. We all have multiple systems layered upon each other. And this is very much when you're trying to make change, going a little slow. You go slow to go fast. I used to say that all the time when you're like how you build that community in your classroom. And once you've done that, it takes a little while, but once you've got it, you can zoom through. So the next one is strategically leveraging coalitions. Strategically leveraging coalitions. I have been very purposeful in my life to surround myself with people, amazing people like Cole and Duane. Or I created a group, Black Women in Math Ed, to do just this because I observed on the national stage that there was a space that was needed because the needs and concerns of Black women weren't being addressed. So I observed, and then I said, okay, now it's time for me to be responsible, and I'm not going to wait for someone else. I'm going to do it. And I started this group. I created this organization so that now we come and address things corporately so that we are heard. How do you make your coalitions? Well, you take that qualitative data that you learned and you start building those relationships with people. Because One of my things, one of my pet peeves is when you are finally muster up the courage to say something in a staff meeting. No one says anything. But then after the staff meeting, people are like, "Oh, you were so brave." No, 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 no. Don't tell me that outside in the parking lot. You needed to back me up in the meeting. But how do you have someone back you up in the meeting? Because you've built a coalition. You've you've spent some time talking to people, building a relationship, seeing their strengths and building them up, helping them. And then when you need them, most of the time, they will come to your aid and stand with you because you can't change a system by yourself. I know, like, we love to have this is the American thing to be that one person, all the teacher movies, it's only this one person who changed the whole thing, but that's not the way it works, right, gentlemen? It's a coalition of people working together. And you have your data, you build your coalition with the teachers, administrators, but that really, really important one is which stakeholder group you think is really important for change? Yes. Oh, Luis. Ding, 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 ding. Parents. Now I want to go back because I wanted to read what Annie said. One thing I've learned when I started leading workshops, one of my co-presenters was super good at asking reflective questions about an activity we'd done, then sitting down, and then, oh, I'm sorry, and sitting down with a pencil and paper and actually listening to the participants, mostly teachers. It was, it wasn't just okay. I'm sorry. It wasn't just, oh, I'll ask a question and then, oh, I moved it and I lost it. Talk about it and carry on with my plan. He was actively listening, caring about their ideas. I could see how powerful it was. Yes. And I'm sure they felt very heard. Thank you, Annie, for sharing that. Um, I believe about servant leadership. We need to serve and lift up our communities up. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Relationships are, yes, are the key ingredient. Yes, 100%. And it doesn't take a whole lot. It's just being there. I'm gonna tell you this funny story. I have knee issues. Like, I just got cortisone shots in both of my knees. And when I was a principal, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do for teacher appreciation the last year? And so I had these activities, and one of my activities was to give my teachers a 15-minute break. And I went into every classroom and did a dance party with the kids. So I want to tell you, I was broke down at the end of that. And this was the whole day because I had to go to all the classrooms. Oh my God. I could barely walk when I left, but I felt like we always give food and all these things, but I felt like that would have been most beneficial. Just 15 minutes to whatever they wanted to do. And then, we just had fun dancing, and I had my hype person. And it was really fun. And that's a part of building relationships with your students. And I was that way with students too. I built relationships with them. I knew almost all of my students' names because if you want them to listen to you, you have to build relationships with them. So even though that cost me, um, it was definitely well worth it. So the last one, once we've gathered all that data, we have the right people in place, then we can just start chipping away. When you start having these conversations and getting these key players, their opinions, they can bring in other people, bring in other resources. Those parents, some of my greatest campaigns were when I had parents on my side to make change. I'll tell you a story when I was at AP, when uh, NGSS had just come out. I was already doing more math with parents. That was our monthly math meeting, and we were just having fun with math. And I said, well, let's talk about NGSS. So we were making airplanes, paper airplanes. And then we talked about all the principles, lift and drag and gravity, all these things. And then we did it all first. We did it, the phenomenon, and we did the whole thing. And then after that, my parents were like, we need to see this in the classroom. I'm like, mm-hmm. and and then those parents were so motivated. They got, what is that play? They make maker spaces, and it's bits. Uh, oh my gosh, I can't remember the thing. It's something bits. They got that organization, one of our empty classrooms, and they made it a whole makerspace. They initiated that for their children because I was like, oh yes, we could do this. We could do this, and they want, because they saw it, they experienced it, they felt how good it felt to do science in this way, and then they made it happen. So that was basically all that I did. See them, build it up in them, and then they did the work. So once we have this, then we can start making those systematic changes, little bit at a time, little bit at a time. But as what was said before, was those relationships with all of the stakeholders and having that um, authenticity, that when people talk to you, they know um, you're not like a person that'll, like, if they say something to you, you'll keep their trust, that they believe what you say because your words and your actions match, you know, those kind of things. Because that's the first way that people will turn off from you, because they know that, you say it, but you don't do it. So that's my secret sauce, people. This is how I have operated in my career and my life. And I want to give a shout out to Cole, because he's in my coalition, he's in my circle. And I have come across some things and I've been extremely frustrated. And I've come to him and talked to him, and he's talked me off the road. And I appreciate you, Cole. And I just want to say that because you need those people in your corner, because we're always giving out, giving out, giving out. We need the coalition to make the change. We also need that coalition for our souls, those people that will protect your soul. I feel like I can go to these two gentlemen and I could just be as transparent as I want to be, and they'll protect my soul and my heart. So that thing about finding your people is so important on many levels of doing this work, but also so you can fill your own bucket. So Yes, thank you. Two-Bit Circus. Lisa, you are just thank you. Yes, that was the organization. Yes, that they came and did that room. And yes, thank you. Very grateful. And it makes me think of that space that you have in your organization, Cole, the steam yard. So my last
Well, no.
thoughts.
So
Oh, go ahead, go
before
ahead.
you go
Yeah.
there, because you opened the door, Christina, so now I've got to make a shameless plug.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So not even Duane knows this yet. So Duane, just buckle up.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But at CMC Central next year, we're actually going to have a pre-symposium in the STEAM yard for some early education teachers so that more people can have access and see it, but also making sure that we're living up to our mission to support P16 math teachers. And so we will have some special pre-symposium sessions and in the STEAM yard next year. So thank you for that plug. You open the door and I said, I got to take it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I am so excited. Okay. Our time is I know is it done or it's done. Okay. Well, we don't have time for this, but I just want to say thank you all for being here, and it's really just from my heart to yours, and I'm grateful that I've had this opportunity. So thank you.
Fantastic.
So, Christina, I will say, in the chat as you were wrapping up, Annie slipped in a comment essentially endorsing your outmaneuvering systemic barriers
Mm,
portion. And Lonnie Horn has a almost acts like a protocol of making a list of all the things that are in our way, and then which
mm,
ones can we have impact on, and then
yes.
uh, and then all the things that are on the list that are still there. After you've removed the things you can't control, those are the things that matter. So you're getting some endorsement from pretty impressive people.
Well, thank you, friend.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Duane, I know you're a little slower than I am, so you may not have caught it. But about 30 minutes ago, Christina said, like, once it gets published, you might have access to this paper that I wrote.
I heard that. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and I thought we were all friends and we had access to those, but that's okay. I won't hold it against her. It's okay. But anyway, well, Christina, thank you so much for being here this afternoon and giving us your time and sharing your heart with us. And she said, "What do I talk? What do you want me to talk about?" I said, "Just share whatever is on your heart as she has planned for today." And you did not disappoint. So thank you
No,
for being here.
exactly.
We are going to need, though, down the road at some point, a part two to this because now I want to say, like, I hear you, but now how do you do this on a school site or in a district where I got a lot of
Yes.
people that may not
Yes.
have the same heart I have, and how do I bring them along because I know it's right for kids? So
Yes.
Yeah.
we can talk about a future session on how we can move our people now that we know what to do. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love that.
yeah. All right. Well, as we close out, just some reminders, some general housekeeping. Inspiring Math Minds is the third Thursday of every month, including summer months. So we will be back live the third Thursday in June from 4 to 5 p.m. Mark it on your calendars. Share with your teacher neighbor. Everyone will be on summer break. How better could you spend your time than with us right here? So we hope to see you there. In addition, if you didn't get enough of this or you want to go back and rewatch this incredible conversation, this will be published to our Math on the Rocks podcast in the next week or so, or when we get around to editing it and it gets posted, whichever happens first. And you can find us on all these wonderful places: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube. And so it will be there. And just a big thank you. It is May, middle of testing season for almost everybody. It's after school, and you chose to show up. So kudos to you. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you next month.